Morning, everybody. It's December 14th, Monday, and it's a bit of a snowy day. It's going to get quite chilly the next few days, minus 15 centigrade. So I don't know if you can see there, but my roof is on my trailer, or at least part of the roof. We're not talking about this location today. This is a Mars colonization video that I wanted to cover. Oh, I forgot something. Stylus. What I'm doing today is bringing in more dead trees as firewood, since I don't have any real stock of firewood yet. But there are plenty of dead trees on the property. Let's see if I can get that in there. So I cut down a nice standing dead pine tree yesterday, and I love those ones, especially the ones that don't have any bark on them, because they dry out really well. If the bark is still on them, then they usually rot, and they're certainly not really worth burning. But if the bark falls off them reasonably early, then it dries out really well. The bugs don't get at it because there's nothing to eat anymore. And I have a standing piece of dry firewood that I can harvest at my convenience, essentially. Now, I have to go into the woods and then cut it down and haul it back by hand. I don't have a machine to get access to those areas, and I don't particularly want to do that anyways, because it just tears up the ground, and then I wind up having to cut down trees just to make a trail for myself, and that's not really worth the effort, and I don't really want to tear things up like that. And this is good exercise for an old fart like me. I want to turn the camera around. Best not breathe on the lens, eh? I'll turn the camera around so you can see what I'm doing, where I'm going. There we are. So, trailer's down there, pile of reclaimed wood, and there's a nice big pallet here that I can draw on in a minute. So, the topic of today's is starships and star freighters. I think everybody is pretty enamored with the exploits of SpaceX and Mr. Musk. The launch of the SN8 was absolutely spectacular, and I congratulate them all on what a wonderful, successful first flight that was. Even though it landed hard, it was a absolutely phenomenal success in my estimation, and I think an awful lot of other people. So, what do I want to talk about? Well, there's going to be certainly, I think, let me back up a bit. This is a logistics discussion to a certain extent, and I'm not an expert at that at all. I think in a systems way, but certainly I'm not a logistical expert. But my idea seems to make a certain amount of sense, at least to me. So there are going to be two types of ships as far as I'm concerned. And I'm focusing on SpaceX because they seem to have the most coherent plan to get to Mars. And certainly they're working hard to bring that about. And if Elon is listening, please give me Starlink up here in McKellar, Ontario. I would love to. It's expensive up here, but I would buy it not only because my wireless service up here sucks and is expensive anyways, but more I would pay for Starlink to help support the expeditions to Mars and SpaceX's efforts. So please give me Starlink. I have actually signed up, so several times actually. Anyways, so my big palette here. So let's see if this actually works, because I don't know if it'll actually show up on the camera. So there's Earth, there's Mars. It's to scale, you see. And there are two main ways, I think, to get there. There is something that everybody's familiar with. It's the Hohmann transfer. And really all it is just a direct route out to Mars. It's the, relatively speaking, fastest way to get there. And you go straight there and you slam into the atmosphere and you land. That's it. Now, that'll be a starship route, meaning starships are for human transportation. And then there's going to be what I think, what I'm calling a star freighters. And if you consider any kind of freight system, generally speaking, there isn't really a great big tearing hurry to get anywhere. So you have big ocean freighters that take quite a long time to get from one place to the other. There are certainly critical supplies that need to show up in a quick fashion, and in that case you have an Earth-based system of a Hohmann transfer to get from one place to the other. Now the problem with this is when you get to Mars, you're going a hell of a clip. 27,000 kilometers an hour, something like that, or miles, I don't know, one or the other. You're going really, really fast. And you need a robust system, you need heat shields to cope with going through the atmosphere on Mars and landing in a really quick fashion. It's hugely stressful on your machine. But it's a shorter trip by far. Now there is another way, and I may as well use the same Earth rather than try and do it again. There is something called a gravity capture method. Now in SpaceX's methodology, they've already demonstrated that they can get a ship from Earth to Mars. That's what the Starman and the Tesla demonstrated, because it got all the way out to Mars and is actually, I think, headed on the way back to Earth's vicinity. It's not going to land on Earth or anything, but it's actually coming back now. So it got all the way out to Mars and back. Now, many people think that might have been a kind of a lark and a PR thing, and sure, they were that. It had a wonderful, funny connotation to it, but it was extremely useful as well, and I'm sure SpaceX has used the data in a very meaningful way and demonstrated that they can actually get out to Mars. Now that was with an upper stage of the Falcon 9, but they got there, and they went out past Mars and then back around, and this is where this gravity capture notion comes into play. Now, what you do in this case, and it takes longer, obviously, and I'm not drawing it accurately, but what you do is you come out to Mars and you go around, and then you go out in front of Mars. So Mars is going that way, and what you do is you get your ship out in front of Mars some distance, and then you allow Mars gravity to capture and pull the ship into the vicinity of Mars so you can land. Now, as I said, it's a lot slower, less energy required, and if I'm not mistaken, once you get out in front of Mars and Mars pulls you in, your, delta V, your speed that you're going at to enter the Mars atmosphere is going to be much, much lower. That's a good thing. Less stress on the machinery. Now, why I'm pointing this out is this is a freight route, right? We're going to have human passengers going probably with the Hohmann transfer, which is fast, and then you can have freighters take the long route, and I'm assuming you can go back more or less in the same fashion. And then you have just a continuous stream between Earth and Mars of a set of freighters that are taking cargo there, taking stuff back if possible, and just doing this route. But you have freighters all along at various stages of the transfer. And you have just a continuous stream. So it's just like what you have with freighters on the ocean on Earth. So I think that's worth considering. I'm sure, being a naive amateur that I am, that all of this has been thought of by other people, but I thought I'd throw my idea in as well. And there's one kind of an extra thing that, or aspect that I think would be worth exploring with ships, freighters, in various positions between Earth and Mars. You could use them as network hubs, so you can hopscotch your signals in both directions. So you have a wireless network, and the ships boost the signal as it goes along. I think that would be worth exploring as well. And certainly I don't think that would be particularly expensive. So that's the idea today, is starships and starfreighters and different routes for each. And you set up a system for getting there and supplying it on a regular basis. So that's that. And now, after gabbing about that, time to go back to work. So I'll walk up here and show you where my wood is. It won't take very long. And this is the camera is holding up. Well, it's my cell phone and one of those DJI stabilizer thingamabobs. And the phone's fine, even though I cracked the glass on it a couple of days ago. Don't know how I did that, but I'm not going to replace it anytime soon, since these silly things are expensive. What I'm finding doing videos with the cell phone is the most convenient way of doing it. I may get one of those DJI Osmo Pockets. That might be even more convenient, because I'm out and about, and setting this thing up is a bit of a nuisance. Gotta set the thing up and put the phone in and balance it, and all that gets tiresome after a while. But this is where I was cutting yesterday. So that was a nice big dead pine, and I got branches that I'll haul in as well. These things I have to carry. And then there were some dead hemlocks over there. Only part of that is of any use. They get too rotten after a while and not worth burning. Then over here I have 3 dead trees. A couple of them are, that one's a big hemlock. Hopefully that's worth harvesting. So big hemlock here, littler one there, and then that's a dead maple. And most of the bark's off that one too, so that should be good to burn this winter. All right, enough gabbing. Back to work.